when you have that 2, 3, 4 lineup the way that you do, as in Kendrick, Nas, and Tupac, as in Social Commentary Deluxe.
Right.
How do you not have Ice Cube higher and within the realm when, quite frankly, he's the inspiration in a lot of ways for all three? And same could go to Chuck D, except for I would include all four because Ice Cube is inspired by Chuck D as well.
Right.
And so how is it that Kendrick Social Commentary supersedes those four guys specifically is what I find to be problematic because of the way that they spoke of it. Not because I'm taking issue with him belonging in that conversation, but it's like, okay, if you're in that conversation, then it kind of becomes about the music and the albums, doesn't it, Mike?
Yeah, and then it becomes like, what are the actual qualifiers, right? Like you said, if Social Commentary, and I would think for Kendrick's high placement at number 2, and it's very high. You know, we got 50 years of hip hop, and, you know, he wasn't around for a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? So for him to have such a high placement, you would feel that his impact and involvement is just massive, right? And it seems like his biggest level of impact is Social Commentary. And so with that being said, it feels like they're weighing it heavy on him, but not so much people, like you said, like Chuck D or like, you know, Cube. And then, you know, then you got somebody like 50 Cent who is a slot above Cube, and it just doesn't really make sense. You're like, okay, so where are the qualifiers? Because this is what I feel like when you got 50 Cent ahead of Cube, right? And even though 50 had a massive album, right? And a
really great run.
Great run. But I think we know that the mainstream holds 50 Cent high for hits, whereas we probably hold 50 Cent high for the underground mixtape stuff and all of that, and everything combined, right? So if it's about that in relation to Cube, then how does Drake get 8, who has more Billboard stuff than anybody, and Kendrick gets 2? That qualifier doesn't seem to work in the same way. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely understand where you're coming from. I believe I did read somewhere the metric that they use. But, you know, I believe when they put lyrics down, it was like storytelling ability. I believe Impact came up for theirs too. It's somewhere, Mike. But when I saw the criteria, it wasn't too far off from ours. Like it was some of the same stuff. And this is what I mean is like, well, really at the end of the day, it's like, well, it's about, and I believe voice was part of theirs too. I'm not sure, like on some sort of level. Like I think delivery was one of theirs, and they would put voice in parentheses or something like that. And I say all these things to say because there were some comparable things. Well, if it's about the voice, and it's about the message, and it's about the quality of songs, and it's even about the quality of albums, because listen to what I'm about to say. It's like when I'm talking about Kendrick's run, well, now we're talking about Ice Cube, Mike,
right,
and Nas. Right. And Tupac. And so if you actually want to go album runs, the only one he has a better album run than is actually Pac. And we both know that impact, song-wise, message-wise, voice-wise, he's not touching Pac. And so that's what I mean about it. It's like, well, how do you have him ahead? And then it's like if you want to go to quality of music and you put lyrics and put storytelling in parentheses, it's like, well, I wouldn't put too many people ahead of Kendrick storytelling-wise. But I can think of 2 people. Mike, guess who? Ice Cube and Nas.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, and then let's go to the voice. It's like, well, Ice Cube and Nas again, Mike. So it's like, it is a little confusing. It does feel, I'm going to say it as respectful as I can. It feels very, very forced.
It does. Having Kendrick at number 2 does feel forced. Now, shout out to DJ Paperboy. My camera's finally working, so I'm ready to flow. We ready to get this show in. That's always distracting when it starts like that because I'm kind of doing 3 things at once. But anyway, shout out to DJ Paperboy. He hit me up maybe about 2 hours ago, livid about this list. He was like, why did y'all post this list, this bogus Billboard list? And I asked him what was the biggest problem he had with the list. And this is a DJ now. He said Kendrick being at number 2. He said, obviously, he had a lot of problems with the list. But the blaring thing was Kendrick being so high. He says, you know, as far as like his rotation, you know, in the clubs or whatever, or just in whatever settings, Kendrick doesn't have those records that the people that he is ahead of and that are surrounding has. Now he had a problem with the Eminem thing, but that's a whole nother thing, and we could go on a tangent. But Kendrick specifically confuses the criteria, and it makes you wonder, like, what exactly is the criteria if Kendrick is the second greatest rapper of the last 50 years of this full genre. It becomes problematic in that way, and I think one of the biggest issues with this list, and kind of piggybacking on Ice Cube's sentiments, is the fact that these lists come together and are put together by people who don't talk to the people, who don't have dialogue about, these people that are being placed in certain areas. And there's just no dialogue and basically no reason for rhyme or rhyme for reason, lack of a better term. And once they get put out there, you're going to have people debate regardless. But all people want to see is that you're being fair, right? And when you have somebody like Kendrick at number 2, and then somebody like The Game, like I was telling you offline, who basically has everything that Kendrick has in spades outside of Lyrical Miracle shit, isn't even a top 50. Many people would tell you the documentary's better than Good Kid, Mad City. Is that not fair?
Ooh. I think it, in a lot of ways, it is, Mike. Replay value being one of them. As much as I love Good Kid, Mad City, I think Good Kid, Mad City is conceptually better and lyrically better, and I think it's more concise. But I don't know outright. Nobody's ever asked me that too, which is crazy. I don't know if it's necessarily better than the documentary, but I will tell you that Kendrick had less help putting it together than The Game did.
That's
and I
fair.
think that's kind of how people look at it. But you say something very strong when you're talking about The Game and him not being included on this list, but somebody like Kendrick ends all the way up at 2.
Exactly. I think that's very high for somebody. Well, all right, look. Kendrick's 2, right? And then you got somebody like The Game who's not on the list. Somebody like Corrupt who's not on the list. Somebody like Schoolboy Q who's not on the list. Somebody like Exhibit who's not on the list. Shit, even ASAP Rocky not on the list, and he's 2.
But look at the chart. Look at the chart toppers like Nelly and Ja Rule. Like Nelly made this list, didn't he?
I don't know if Nelly made the list.
I don't think Nelly made the list.
Think Nelly made the list. Ja Rule didn't, and he made some noise about it. And really, Ja Rule has a whole bunch of top charting, Billboard charting songs. Number 1 songs on hip hop and
contributions
pop.
To a lot of other people's stuff too.
Can I Get a? Yeah.
I was thinking Jay and Fat Joe owe that nigga some money still.
Yeah. No, I forgot about his number 1s with Fat Joe and Jennifer Lopez too.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Rule did a lot of work, man.
I'm gonna get to what Rule said. Let me get to these super chats. Let me get to these super chats real quick. JY with the super chat says, y'all should rap over Mother I Sober. Yeah, that'd be fun. Justin Jones in the super chat says, y'all should rap over the Vapors. Okay, we could do that. 007 with the super
that's too breezy. I want something like
you want something menacing. 007 says posse cut. Jump in the studio and I'll fly down and I'll spit a verse on some Queens ish. Peace Kings. Also, I still can't believe that they put Kendrick over Pop. Man. Okay. What I was gonna say though, and I'm not trying to be problematic, Mike here, but I found it interesting that nobody has pointed out that Nipsey's not on the top 50 at all either. And we see a lot of Go ahead.
I think it was going to be hard for him to make that list just because of the notoriety. Like Nip was almost known just as much for his hustle as he was for his music, Mike. Right. And I think people were just starting to get acquainted with how great the music was.
Who do you feel like had a bigger impact on the West Coast, though? Because I know one of the big things that they talked about was Kendrick's influence. I said Compton has always become one of music's most influential. Yeah, Compton's native has become, one of music's most influential artists. Do you think that he has the impact on Cali or that Nipsey had?
No, but that's just one. That's just one meter to measure. You know what I mean?
I understand. I think that when you get into that top 10, and especially if you're getting somebody number 2 all time, impact has to be heavy. They got him in here with people who were super impactful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, how about this? Putting him at number 2 kind of feels like putting Giannis at number 2 all time.
It's not fair to him. I mean, and this is not the bash Kendrick, because we're fair and we're Kendrick fans, but it's not fair to him to put him at number 2 because now we got to give him smoke.
Yeah, because it's like, when Giannis become better than Olajuwon, in Kobe, and Tim Duncan, and Shaq. Like, when did that happen exactly? Is it happening now? Is that what's going on? Are we watching that right now? Because it's like, oh, I don't think so.
I think this was an attempt to not make their list an old fart list. I get that. But
I get it.
I think what Billboard should have done here, you might as well just put Drake at number 2, man. Because you know what? There's a generation.
I told you I would have been more okay with that.
Yeah,
it would have made more sense to put Drake at number 2.
Because you can actually qualify that with something.
You can actually explain that shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can actually qualify that with something. You can't qualify this.
Well, here's the thing. Literally, it goes Nas and Tupac right after. It's like, hold on. Stop. It's like, back up.
Right.
Back up. What we doing? Now, if you put Jay at number 1 and then put Drake at number 2 and then have Nas and Pac as your 3 or 4, it's like, I see what you're doing.
Exactly.
I get it.
This is about bangers. This is about, just being out there in the marketplace. Kendrick's not out there in the marketplace. His feature game's not heavy. The big thing he has is his lyrical ability and his album making ability. Let's look at this list, this top 20, right? I don't think there's anybody on this 20 that he could actually beat in a versus. Do you? He's not beating Jay. He's not going to beat Nas. He's not going to beat Pac. He could beat Eminem probably. He's not going to beat Biggie. He's not going to beat Wayne. He's not going to beat Drake. He's not going to beat Snoop. Maybe Nicki. I don't know. I don't know if
maybe Nicki.
Maybe.
So Em and Nicki.
They're similar. He's not going to beat Ye. And if Andre can use Outkast stuff and features, he's not going to beat him. He's not going to beat Rakim. He's not going to beat LL. Then you got J. Cole. I don't know. That's a close one. Scarface in the verses, I don't think he could beat him. I don't think he could beat 50 in the verses. That's just me.
Well, okay, so this is what I mean. It's like, well, if you start parsing it down, it's like, well, you kind of got to go to the albums and go to the songs, and it's like how about this? As much as I love something like a Duckworth, you know what I'm saying? It's still not a bird in hand.
Hell no.
See how you felt when I said that?
It's not even in the same, no.
Right. And so it's like, that's the problem with having him there, because here's the thing. It's kind of like, how look at how we have LeBron right now. And we all say LeBron's a top 5, top 3, top 2 player. Even nobody questions it. They only question if he's the greatest. You get what I'm saying? When you're number 2, the question should be, are you the greatest? I shouldn't look at you at number 2 and be like, hold on, wait, stop. Like, hold on, what happened? Like, I shouldn't look at it like that. It shouldn't make me pause. It should make me debate.
Again, man, what are the qualifiers here? Is it the albums? Is it the hits? Is it the skill set? Because there's so many people.
Not to be funny.
Go ahead.
Not to be funny. Everybody, including Eminem, on this top 10 is battle tested except for him. And I've got a big fucking problem with that, Mike. I do.
Well, like, speaking of battle tested,
the inside of me don't feel right about it, because it's like, you done talked real big, but you really ain't really stepped out here and caught no smoke, or even just popped off because you felt like you had it like that. You feel
Well,
what I'm
I'm
saying?
glad you mentioned that, Coop.
Like, did you
because
see how I behaved, Mike? Like when they was like talking about doing the thing. I ain't even heard what the other camp did, and I like those dudes. Just the MC inside of me is like, oh, hold on, pause, wait.
Well, all right. I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna put this top 20 on the screen again. The game has win at Jay-Z. Might not have gotten. I mean, they've gone back and forth, little responses here and there. The game has demolished Eminem with the Black Slim Shady and still gotten no response. And, I got to admit, even though I'm a 50 fan, the game took him and G Unit down a notch. That happened. Not to mention the fact that the game slaughtered Meek Mill. Pest Control's crazy.
Pest Control.
And he gave it to Beanie Siegel, too, who should also be on this list, by the way. But this dude has done all those things. Been battle tested, has multiple classic albums. And actually, you know what? Outside of the battle part of it, he has rhymed with Nas repeatedly. You know what I'm saying? He's made records with Eminem. He's made records with Wayne, Drake, Snoop. I think he might have a record with Nicki too, right? Him and Kanye.
50.
Yeah. Kanye, J. Cole, Kendrick, Scarface.
Everybody.
He's rhymed with the Titans and everything. This guy gets no consideration.
Ice Cube, Mike. Ice Cube, Dr. Dre. Schoolboy Q, J-Rock.
Yeah.
New school niggas, Ab-Soul, the new school niggas.
He's done everything.
Yes. Gets busy with everybody.
And you know what? And I think
he's an MC.
And even though people want to say the game has help, and when people make that argument, that's tough to refute. But what I will say about the game, me personally, I like the shit he does by himself even better.
This is what I mean.
So he's proven that he can hold it down himself.
How about this? Pull up your top 10 again. Say the top 10.
Okay. I'll pull up the 10. We got Jay, Kendrick, Nas, Pop, Eminem, Biggie, Lil Wayne, Drake, Snoop, Nicki.
He's rapped with 7 of their top 10.
Mm-hmm. And then we can continue.
2 of those people he didn't rap with because they're dead.
Exactly.
Jay's the only one on the list he hadn't rapped with. Mike, the documentary.
And he's been asking for it, yeah.
The documentary 2 starts off with him and Kendrick going back and forth. How many niggas willingly are going to go back and forth with Kendrick?
Exactly. And he's done this on multiple occasions with Kendrick and Cole. And you're telling me that this guy's the second best all time? He's that much better than the game, huh? And the game has the catalog. Listen, I don't think that Kendrick could beat the game in the verses. I don't.
He doesn't have a better catalog. He doesn't have the records, too.
I'll put that out here right here on this microphone on this live tonight. What's the date? February 10th, 2023. Excuse me. The game cannot beat Kendrick in the verses. He would not. He wouldn't. He ain't got the records to. Jay Short with the super chat says, you know what? And I don't think he could beat him in a battle either. Yeah, I'll go a step further. Jay Short with the super chat says, I think Kendrick is a great rapper, but I feel like Kendrick is trying to be the face of hip-hop while circumventing the hip-hop culture. The lack of appearances on hip-hop songs and media is disrespectful. It's an interesting observation. The feature game is very low. I think in today's time, or just in general, if we're talking about anything outside of the 80s, you can't have a low feature game and be thought of so high. Biggie's feature game is way tougher than his. And Biggie's been gone for 28 years.
Everybody on that list feature game is tougher than his.
Well, let's go through that again. Let's see. Obviously Jay, obviously Nas, obviously Pac, obviously Eminem, obviously Biggie, obviously Wayne, obviously Drake, obviously Snoop, Nicki as well, obviously Kanye, obviously Andre, Rakim, the few that he's done, I would even say his feature game is better.
Hey, hold on, Mike. Pause for a second. How many of the top 10 rappers on their list has Kendrick done work with?
Good question.
Because Eminem has rhymed with Jay. This is what I'm saying about Eminem and how it is.
You there? You cut out for a second. Cool.
That was the haters.
That was
the West Coast. That was.
Okay, we back.
That was Kendrick.
That was Kendrick.
That was Kendrick's camp trying to hold me down.
Okay, so all right. So you said
Eminem's rhyme with Jay, right? He's rhyme with Nas.
Yep.
right? I mean, technically on a track with Biggie, right?
Technically, yes. Rhyme with
Technically
Wayne.
on a track with Tupac, right?
Yeah, I think they've done. Yeah.
Yep. Technically Wayne.
Yeah.
Yep. Drake. Yep.
Yeah.
Snoop. Yep. Nicki. Yep. M's rap with every rapper on their list. Now let's go down Kendrick. Has Kendrick done a song with Jay?
He's on the Jay's on the Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix. Yeah.
What about Nas?
Not yet. We hadn't seen that. We've seen him in a picture together.
That's nice. Oh, that's great. That's what we wanted to see. Was the picture.
Tupac. No. Eminem. Biggie. Wayne, yes. He's on the Carter 5. But you know what? Even with those being said, these aren't really memorable collabs.
Do you even remember these? Drake. Drake's on Poetic Justice, so.
Yeah. Snoop has a hook. Wait a minute. Kendrick and Snoop hadn't traded verses before? That's not possible, right?
It's definitely not West Coast.
That's interesting. Hold on. There has to be a song out there that we're missing that Snoop and Kendrick have done together. There has to be. What about Nicki?
Mike, why don't you remember it? If it happened, why don't I remember it?
What about Nicki?
Negative.
No More Parties in LA with Kanye. That's the best feature, I think, of all the ones that we just mentioned.
Oh, the ones we mentioned. I'm about to say, I think his best feature might be an R&B feature. That might be How Many Drinks with Miguel.
Man, I don't even remember that verse. I love his verse on No More Parties in LA, though. Leroy Green with the super chat says, Coop, you know I rock with you, but Esco, just the Scarface movie. Reasonable Doubt, American Gangster 444 is Godfather 1, 2, and 3. What we talking about? He's trying to get this started. Andrew Green with the super chat says, in short, I think Kendrick is held so high because he is literally the antithesis of Drake. Like Kendrick is hip hop in the purest form and Drake is pop. I understand that, but I understand that concept. But for a publication like Billboard that's based on numbers and based on pop success and how well a record does in radio, to take that criteria, I find problematic. It doesn't seem consistent because they want to take that type of criteria as it relates to Kendrick and Drake, but don't want to take that same criteria as it relates to Ice Cube and 50 or something. You know what I mean? It just seems inconsistent in that way. Eric Terrell and the big one, LL Cool J. Eric Terrell says LL should be top 10. He did everything first. And on Billboard's list, I feel like LL should be higher. I think Drake should be higher and LL should be higher, because this is Billboard. And Ja Rule shouldn't be excluded. You want to get to what Ja Rule said?
Yeah, please, feel free.
Ja Rule tweeted, there ain't 50 rappers dead, alive, or waiting to be born better than me. Icon, Vibe, Billboard. Congrats to everybody on the list. Well deserved. But check my resume. And check his resume I did. He has multiple #1 records on Billboard. Multiple top 5 hit records on Billboard. He has given hit records to the likes of Jay-Z, Fat Joe, Jennifer Lopez, and others. And he wasn't included at all on this list. I feel like this list is very Interscope heavy. And so I don't know if Ja Rule was being punished for that, per se. But when you got 50 at 17, you got Kendrick at 2, you got Dr. Dre as a rapper on the list at 40, you got Eminem at 5, you got Snoop at 8. It just seems, seems like that could possibly be what's going on here.
I told you there's another rapper we're missing too, Mike, because I went through the list. There was another Interscope rapper, Busta.
Oh, yeah, Busta. I feel like there's another one, too, that, we're missing in this conversation. But, yeah. Probably. But these are all top 20. I mean, let's look at the top 20 in itself. 50's right there, 17.
Man, This is the machine at work too. You know?
I mean, if Rakim would have stayed at Interscope, maybe he'd be number 1 like he should be, or top 3. Snoop is at 9. Excuse me, not 8. You got Tupac's Interscope as well. That's 4.
There we go. That's the guy we were missing.
5 and Kendrick 2. Yeah, can't forget Tupac. He was the first artist signed to Interscope, I think, or at least first hip hop artist. Mad Max with the super chat says K-Dot ain't even sell 10 million records worldwide, but he's 2. And Coop, mad people don't have Bron top 5. In my opinion, you can't be top 5 with a losing finals record.
Oh no, I can't say that. That's just going too far at this point. I mean, it's all about what you prefer at the end of the day, but objectively speaking, you know, you can't watch this man play basketball and look at the resume and his accomplishments and say he's not a top 5 player. Mike, he's top 5. Well, he is the all-time leading scorer now. He's top 5 in assists. He's been to 10 NBA finals. He's got 4 MVPs. He's got 4 rings. He's got 4 finals MVPs. It's like, no, like that's top 5.
And you also got to look at the people who beat him.
He's led the league in scoring and assist, albeit just one time each time, but he has done that as well.
Many of those losses that came from, you know, the finals or even getting to the finals is based on the fact that people had to team up to actually beat him.
Well, see, Mike, when you say team up, this is what I mean when I say this. So, and I'm glad that we're bringing this up and talking about this right now, right quick. This is going to be a quick sidebar, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled up those Bulls teams, opponents, their rosters from the 90-91 Lakers team,
mm-hmm.
the 91-92 Blazers team, and the 92-93 Suns teams.
Mm-hmm.
No, Mike, these teams were loaded. First of all, the Showtime Lakers were not over. Magic Johnson and Michael Thompson were the only people who were in their double-digit seasons with that team. This team had Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Vlade Divac, AC Green, Sam Perkins, Byron Scott, and Michael Thompson, who all averaged double figures, Mike.
It was a good team.
Okay. No. That's not a good team, Mike. There's 4 Hall of Famers right there. Magic, James, Sam Perkins, and Vlade all made the Hall of Fame. That's
all
4
jokes
Hall
aside, a lot of people picked them to win that finals.
Yes.
And they won game 1, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they had 4 Hall of Famers on that team. So that whole Mike didn't play competition thing, it's like, okay.
I'm not saying Mike didn't play competition. I would never say that.
That's real competition, and that's depth, too. I just named you 7 guys.
I think all of those teams are competition, to be real, man. I just think that the teams that LeBron lost to, I mean, they were better teams for the most part. I think the only team
but that's what I'm trying to tell you, that LeBron lost to teams that Mike beat. Like, LeBron played a lot of deep teams that was 6-7 deep with guys that could score double figures.
Right.
That's what all these teams that Mike beat are. That's what I'm trying to show. Danny Ainge, Clyde Drexler, Kevin Duckworth, Jerome Kersey, Terry Porter, Clifford Robinson, and Buck Williams, all double-digit scorers on the 91-92 team.
Mm-hmm.
Clyde averaged 25 that year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Like Terry Porter averaged 17 that year. Buck averaged 15 that year. Cliff Robinson averaged 15 that year.
I used to get that team on double dribble, man. They had everybody.
Mike, the 92-93 Suns, once again, first of all, this is deep. Like, understand, I'm naming 6 or 7 players who are double-digit scoring. And it's kind of funny. Danny Ainge is on the 92-93 Suns, too. Danny Ainge, Charles Barkley, Richard Dumas, Cedric Ceballos, Tom Chambers, and Dan Marley and Kevin Johnson all averaged at least 12 points a game, Mike. Mm-hmm. That's 7 players who averaged at least 12 points. Don't tell me that LeBron played tougher teams. He didn't. Mike's just better.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to argue.
Those teams that I named are just like those Spurs teams. They're just like those teams. Like the Durant team is different. Losing to Durant twice.
Yeah,
but the rest of those teams are comparable.
I was going to say, I think what really throws his finals record out of whack is that Golden State team that won twice. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, it's not the Golden State team. It's the Durant Golden State team.
That's what I mean. No, that's what I'm talking about.
L's. Yeah, those are 2 L's he doesn't take, Mike. So imagine he's sitting here 6-4 with the same number of rings as Mike.
Exactly.
And is the all-time leading scorer and top 5 in assists.
Exactly. No, I
So
agree.
he's easy top 5.
I
So
agree. So that's why I don't get caught up in that whole, he lost this many finals, because that Kevin Durant Golden State team, man, like there was nothing that was going to happen for him to beat them. You know what I mean?
Like I would like it would probably have to be like Mike's 95, 96 season Bulls, like 86 Celtics, 84 Lakers. Those are like the only teams that like would have beat that Golden State team.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty. So, but I hear you. But it's like, but also too, it's like a lot of the time people feel like Mike didn't play competition. It's like no, because when you're looking at these teams,
I would
like
never
Mike,
say that. No, I would never say
how many
that.
people on the Bulls do you think were averaging double figures?
No, Mike was just better than everybody, man.
Right.
That's
it was
all
Mike
that
and
was.
Scotty and Horace Grant averaging double figures. They're playing against teams that are literally 6 or 7 deep with guys that can go get 15 to 20 a night, and they're beating them.
He just had a motor that wouldn't stop, man. Like he had a level. It was like, and he would take that level to the next level. It's like you weren't going to beat him. Like it's like watching those, those replays or everything in slow motion when he's coming up and people are jumping after him to block him. And when they're coming down, he's still going up. Shit is crazy. Like it's like he has a different gear that he could kick into. Marquez Davis with the super chat says, "I'm baffled on how you can have Kendrick over Nas. That's wrong. That's like people today trying to put Mahomes over Brady. Body of work matters. Be objective and respect the people who did the work." I think that's the thing with these lists. Like a lot of people try to make it seem like, and I don't know if Billboard and Bob are doing this to kind of stop people from doing lists. Doing lists isn't the problem. The artists and the fans just want people to be fair. You know what I mean? Ja Rule's not going to go out here and say, I'm better than LL Cool J or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when you do things that are blatant to the point where you're almost trying to erase what he did from the history books, that looks kind of crazy. And like I said, the game needs to come out here and say something too. Him not being on the list is insane. And that's another thing that makes this look like it's very Interscope favorable as well. You got people like Game and Ja who aren't on the list at all. And I mean, again, what are the qualifiers here? Are we talking about hits? Are we talking about impact? Because like it or not, Ja Rule has impact.
I mean, I would venture to say that for his time and his reign, he had more impact than even Kendrick did. That's what's the problem with putting somebody
Kendrick
like
doesn't
Kendrick.
have a lot of impact. Show me where Kendrick's impact is. I could really say the Game has more impact because he walked Kendrick and Nipsey in the door. Did he not?
Correct. And
he revived the West Coast for that time period.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time most people heard Kendrick was on Game shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it stuck too because Game, has that impact.
And Game kept putting them on shit too.
Exactly. Justin Jones with the super chat says, can y'all put Nelly in the mix? His output being ignored by these hip hop lists, just like Ja Rule, and his hits still get heavy radio play. Yeah, I mean, I think that there is definitely a place for Nelly. We've been
talking about Nelly here lately, though.
Yeah, I mean, I sing Nelly's praises when it comes to him doing what he did, breaking down barriers. I've never seen anybody from, come out of nowhere with no cosigns and hip hop be that successful. But we also have to have qualifiers here too. So it's like, we talking about, hit making ability, because I think I've said on this show before, I think he's one of the best, if not best, pure hit makers in hip hop. But that's not the only criteria.
If you're talking about like that one man band type of
where it's like I don't need a well-known producer, I don't need a feature, I can just go in there and give you a hit. If we're talking about one person that you taking in the studio, you starting a label, and you need a record that's gonna go to radio, and you're trying to save your budget on not getting a super producer or anything, I might go with Nelly. Nelly might be the guy that I'm signing up because Drake needs some things. LL may need some things. But Nelly, he just needs Nelly.
I don't know if those guys need things. I think that what Nelly does unto himself is probably a greater pull-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot of the time, LL and Drake's best stuff is collaborative, and that's one of those things I'm talking about that I've learned from the Glove. It's like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's supposed to be a collaborative effort more often than not.
But even if we look at Nelly, right? He came out the gate, producer J.E. out of St. Louis or whatnot, right? Country Grammar, banger. E.I., banger. Ride With Me. All of these tracks were produced by J.E. But then the second album, let's bump it up and let's bring in the Neptunes. And like you said, that kind of helped. And then boom, it goes up another level.
Well, that's also, that's also finance too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, when Nelly has proven that he can do it on a core level, and even when you bring in the big guns, he gets bigger.
He can give you a hit no matter what.
Yeah.